Joe Orth and I are starting a podcast. What should we call it?
Hey, don't pick on me. You know why? Because this is why. Let's see what he says.
The Joe Show?
Give Joe the business?
That's right.
Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe.
What is happening here?
Would you listen?
We'll give you a chance.
Thank you. That's Joe Orth.
That's Rooster.
And this is the Together We Shall podcast. What's going on, man?
Dude, I don't know, man. Wrapping up a work week. Life's been busy. Work, a lot going on within Ainsley's Angels, our organization. Sick kids, weather changing. It's great.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day, legitimately, a couple days ago. But things are good, man. I can't complain. You?
Yeah, I can't complain either, man. I'm having a blast, dude. Like every single day's got this new challenge, but it's really an opportunity. I'm already jumping into cliche crap. Why are we here, man? What are we doing? What is this? Two dudes talking to each other on video?
We a handful of years ago at an Ainsley Angels event, you said something about if anyone ever looked at our text messages, they'd be like, it's two 13-year-old girls, chatting. And so that was probably in 2015, fast forward 7 years, we said, well, we're going to keep the silly chat via text going, but let's do it, in person / virtually, and record it and publish it and start a podcast. So that's where we're at. Just two friends having a conversation with more friends.
Yeah, man. Exactly. Everybody's got a story, and the Together We Shall podcast, a place to tell your stories. I'd like to highlight those stories. We've had a chance to meet so many exceptional people kind of over our journey that to do this podcast and to highlight some of those stories and to just have fun doing it. This is gonna be cool. I'm stoked about it, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
You can't take life too seriously. You'll never get out alive type of thing. It's a movie quote, but I live a lot of my life by movie quotes, which, is what it is. But yeah, we're here to have a conversation about life and see what kind of thoroughfare that takes us down.
Yeah, thoroughfare. Thoroughfare. We're already hitting tangent time. My gosh, man. Nobody's going to be able to keep up with us. We haven't even introduced ourselves, and we're already trying to go down this other. Oh, look, there's a squirrel. Yeah.
So I guess, being episode 1, we got to introduce ourselves. So, I'll play a game. Who are you, Rooster?
Wow, goodness. So Rooster is what I go by, but I'm Kim Rossiter, and I have a whole bunch of things that I do. I'm a husband, which is my number one, and then I'm a father. I'm a Marine. I now am a president of a nonprofit. And there's a whole bunch of other little things that I am, but when it really comes down to it, man, I'm just a grateful person. Life's opportunities, they're so plentiful. And to fail to realize that is not a good decision. So I was born in New Jersey, Bicentennial
Garden State.
Yeah. Most people, there's a lot of people that don't know that I actually lived in New Jersey until I was 8 or 9. Like
Camden County or something, maybe?
Yeah, as in the name of my youngest born, Camden. Yeah, pretty neat. We hung out there for a while, and there's so many neat little stories about that. But then we moved down to Louisiana in the early 80s, and I call those the formative years, so that's why a lot of people don't know that I'm from Louisiana or from New Jersey, because they're like, there's no way that guy's from the North, because
yeah.
Oh, now, hell, he's accents and stuff. Yeah, man. And then I met my current wife in high school, so I ended up dating her for a while there, and then going off to the Marine Corps, and then, gosh, man, traveled all over the world and ended up here in Virginia Beach with my wife and 3 kids, and that was in 2007 when we built this house. So that's a really fast version, but today I'm the president of Ainsley's Angels of America, Ainsley's dad. I like to say I get the opportunity to kind of carry forth her legacy. And those of you that are listening that are familiar with Ainsley's Angels, that's what we do. But, hey, who are you? Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, kind of silly, right? Two friends that have similar-esque paths, right? I was born in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, just right outside DC. Uh, I forget out of it. Within like 3 months, moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, for less than a year. Following that,
Stop.
yeah,
Stop.
you
I
didn't
did
even
not
know that,
know
did
that,
you?
dude. Are
Yeah,
you serious?
yeah.
Love it. Love
It's crazy. Like you go places, especially I'll get there in a minute. But being in the military, like, and you give your social everywhere, and people are like Pennsylvania, and like people will be around you, be like, I didn't know you were from Pennsylvania. No, yeah, I think it was like 3 months to like a year. We lived in Erie, Erie, PA, following Bill's hotel journey.
it.
Bill,
Bill's your dad. Yeah.
yeah. But then people realize like lake effect winters are terrible, so we moved back down to Northern Virginia, spent 3 years in there till I was four-ish, and then moved to Virginia Beach, where we met, but we didn't meet till much later than that. So yeah, I grew up in Virginia Beach essentially. Dated my wife Leanne for a short period of time in high school, then we went our separate ways. She went to college. I enlisted in the Marines. I got stationed in Hawaii. Had 3+ years of no communication with Leanne. Got orders back to Virginia Beach, and essentially ran into Leanne at a bar, and here we are now with happily married for 6 years now. Two awesome boys and a fur ball, and you know helping run the organization with you, serving as the executive vice president. I mean, that's a little bit longer than you took, but yeah, I mean, two young gentlemen, young males that did a little north-south moving, and dated their wives in high school for either a longer or a shorter period of time, went about their ways, came back, married with kids, two doodles, and running a nonprofit. So here we are
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's fun.
That's the end of episode 1. We'll see you next
Yeah. Of course,
I'm joking, listeners.
Yeah, it's funny because we toyed with like a whole bunch of things. What are we going to call this podcast? To what is episode 1 going to be called? But like even the podcast name, for the longest time it was TBD, right? But we went on and we saw that there's other TBD podcasts, and we should probably come up with something unique. So even the name Together We Shall podcast, Together We Shall is a slogan we use in the Ainsley's Angels family. And I don't think we've even said what Ainsley's Angels is. You want to try your 15 seconds or less? What is Ainsley's Angels, Joe?
Yeah, Ainsley's Angels is a 501c3 nonprofit that specializes in fostering all-inclusive communities because we believe everyone should be included. I think that was like 9 seconds. But,
that's pretty good.
I'm sure you got a better one, but you're the man who likes being on the camera and famous ASICs and all that. So I'm sure you have better things, and we got a lot of friends within the media world that are probably laughing at that in a good way. Obviously, Kyle, but here.
I think that's
a tangent for later.
Yeah, it is a tangent. But like, so this isn't a competition about who can give the best Ainsley's Angels pitch. Like, come on, man. But what is cool?
Your daughter, you're always gonna win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if it's a competition, sure, I appreciate it. It started off as a running, focus about making sure everyone has a chance to be included in endurance events. And after 10 years of doing that as an entity, we recently just adjusted our mission statement to now focus on transforming populations into all-inclusive communities. And we're going to talk a lot about that as we go through the next 500 episodes. See what I did there?
I think we need to go back, whatever, 16, 17 years to who's Ainsley?
Yeah, that's a good question. Ainsley is my second born. So my wife Lori and I have 3 children. Briley, our oldest, was born just prior to 9/11 back in 2001. And then Ainsley was born 2 years later. And then Camden, our youngest, was born in 2005. And around 2007 is when we received a diagnosis for Ainsley's progression or lack thereof, infantile neuroaxonal dystrophy, a mouthful, just to say that like her body was being attacked by toxins, and as a result of them building on her nervous system, she couldn't like rid her body of those toxins, and it slowly prevented her nervous system from functioning, which over the course of 5 to 7 years ended up taking her life in 2016. But by her presence, her energy, she's inspired a pretty special movement now. I call it her legacy, is this idea of getting out there and enjoying life to the fullest, essentially. And there's so many things I could say about who is Ainsley, but when it's all said and done, she's my daughter and I'm her proud father. So
Yeah, I mean, and so like this podcast is about, again, two friends, on a journey, on life's journey, that want to share our stories and share many stories and laughs with others, but we both have really connected because of Ainsley, right? And there's so many ways on how we got there. I mean, like you said, a running, like, what, I don't know. Do you want to take a couple minutes and like
yeah,
talk about that, or like what?
I think this is a good spot to kind of just take it back to when we met. I mean, if we talk about two friends, like
Okay.
we weren't always two friends. Like we were two coworkers, but actually we were like subordinate and
The opposite.
senior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so for all of you that don't know yet, Joe and I are Marines until the end of our lives. I'm now a retired Marine, and Joe is in the United States Marine Corps Reserves, having spent a lot of time on active duty. But it was during our times on active duty that we met. And I remember it because it was your promotion to sergeant meritoriously. Folks don't really, some might not know what that means, but sergeant is the middle rank in the enlisted side. So you go from private to corporal to sergeant to gunnery sergeant to the top of the enlisted pyramid. And Joe received that promotion meritoriously, which means ahead of schedule for merit. And it was May 2nd of 2008. And the reason I'll never forget the date is because I too had been promoted to sergeant meritoriously 10 years prior, actually 12 years prior, in 1996. We're not going to ask where Joe was in 1996 or anything like that. But anyway, so
Sixth grade, I think.
so there's a little age differential, but there I was. I was a captain of Marines, having transitioned from the officer to the officer ranks, and I was at Dam Neck in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and there's this young Marine being promoted to sergeant, and now I know that young Marine as my friend Joe, but that was the first time really that I can recall maybe meeting you, right? You walked.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
there
ahead.
was like the hallway passings, but
Yeah.
you and the likes of your air wing friends, right, had like your own little cubby. There was like a door within the door
Yeah.
to get back there, and then us other folks
Yeah.
were around the corner. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't. Yeah, passings and
Mhm.
maybe like the likes of a John cooking a pig, right? But
Right.
yeah, that was I
That
think
was it.
that was probably the start, right? May 2nd, 2008 was the start of where we are today.
Yeah, and 14 years later, dude. I mean, think about that. 14 years. It's crazy. Here in May will be 14 years. In fact, it's actually 14 years, like around right now, February of
Yeah.
2022. It was February whenever I actually got to the unit. But anyway, I remember shaking your hand that day and just being like, hey, we got this connection point in the sense that I too was promoted to sergeant meritoriously. And again, those that keep hearing us saying this promoted to sergeant meritoriously thing, like in the Marine Corps, that's not a common thing at all. Like it doesn't.
It's less than 1%. Less than
So
1% of 100 on active, right? Like it's
yeah.
less than 1% of 170,000, but over time since 1775. Yeah.
So what happened that day, though, is it actually cemented our professional relationship, because once you reach the rank of sergeant, now you have to get these fitness reports. So there you are. Now I have to review Joe Orth. What kind of person is this? My responsibility. And so that's when, I remember calling you into my office sometime soon thereafter. Said, Joe, or should I say Sergeant Orth, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
this is me and this is you, and I'm going to evaluate you.
Yeah, that was a an interesting conversation, and as I think folks will hear and learn, if not in this episode, over that don't already know, right, over future episodes, right. I've said it before. I think, um, we went from, I forget, I've probably changed the words hundreds of times, but right, we went from, um, you know, boss to mentor to friend to brother. I mean, because you've been there from my first fit rep, right, in the Marine Corps, right, as a brand new sergeant, to standing beside me in my wedding, to Leanne, to now being, God, you and Lori, godparents to our youngest child, Weston. So like that evolution of growth, of essentially friendship. Yeah, but yeah, that I'll never forget. And I haven't been in that building in, I was gonna say too long, but it's only been like a year, unfortunately. But yeah, that little narrow office, and sitting. I remember when you walked in that, like the door, not into the classroom. You at that time you had the desk on the right, and yeah, I got my first counseling of your expectations of me, and then we talked about what I should expect of you in return. There's some funny stories, about Taco Bell and upbringings, and from Camden County to, um, I don't even want to guess what county Lake Charles, Louisiana is in, Cacashau or something cool like that.
There's no counties in Louisiana, bro. Those are,
Parishes,
yes, and
parishes.
it's Calcasieu.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Right.
Anyway,
But
so
yeah.
through our storytelling of this podcast that we're doing, like there's going to be times where you say something that nobody understands. So what does what what does Taco Bell have to do with being your mentor? Like, what are you talking about? Is that a
So
tangent?
yeah, this is like, yeah. So I mean, tangent time, right? I, I'll be honest, like I don't even fully remember like what part of the fitness report, right? Because obviously, as you know, there's sections, and everyone else, right? There's sections of leadership and communication and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that you're ranked on, against your peers, so the other sergeants that at the time Captain Rossiter, was reporting against, and you go against every sergeant in the Marine Corps, in your MOS, your military occupation specialty, to then get promoted. And one of Rooster's stories is something about, I don't know, persevering or whatever it was, and how he used to go to Taco Bell with his friend. I don't remember the name, and how like that friend could always get more tacos and burritos than Rooster, because Rooster had his 79 cents that he scrounged up through change jars to get a bean burrito, add sour, or in a Mr. Pibb or whatever it was, at the time.
No, stop back. No, it was Dr. Pepper back
Dr.
then.
Pepper. Okay. Yeah,
Taco Bell. That's why when I go to Taco Bell and they say it's Mr. Pip fine,
you get upset.
I get really upset because
You're like, I'm a Yum Brand stockholder. Bring it
back in the day, Yum used to like own part of Dr. Pepper before they became part of Keurig or something. Anyway, that's a wow. Let's pull
That's
back.
a big
So
tangent. Yeah.
all I was doing that day, Joe, was just trying to tell you, bro, that like I can remember the days when all I wanted was a bean burrito plus sour cream and it cost me 79 cents. And I knew that if I kept persevering in life, I could afford two of those. And I was just trying to extend to the young man. Anyway, whatever.
And now, maybe another tangent, pre, I guess, diverticulitis, it would be, you know, two of these, two of those, four of these, and it'd be like, man, that Taco Bell receipt looked like something out of CVS. So then you'd be like, you want anything? I'm like, yeah, I guess, yeah, might as well. You got the list this long, and I'm making a motion, like people can see me, but some of you are not even gonna watch this. But it's fun for me to still like the scroll of CVS and Walgreens receipts that everyone in the world knows of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would have been May of 08, promotion and Taco Bell counselings, and
yeah, I mean, all those things, and then we started doing the unit softball team. So like I can go from telling you that in the course of my career, Joe ended up being my top 1, 2, and 3 sergeants out of like over 100 that I reported on. But that doesn't mean that Joe's perfect, because the story that comes to mind outside of work, Joe's cringing if you can't see his face, is and dare I say he struck out. Maybe he's going to have another story, but he threw his.
I struck out. I struck out in men's intramural base slow pitch softball. It is what it is. That's fine. I paid my dues. I bought everyone beer. It is what it is.
Yeah. He threw his softball bat though. He was upset. He threw it like up against the chain link fence, and I'm like, "Whoa!" So part of me was like, "That's unacceptable behavior," says the captain to himself. "I need to talk to this young man about that." Anyway, we played softball. I don't bring softball up to talk about you throwing bats. I bring it up because you and I both know that if it wasn't for softball, then your current wife, girlfriend at the time, and yourself may not have like met my family or seen my family.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I mean, like the post-work softball games were a family event, for the most part. Outside of a 24-year-old hothead at the time, getting upset and realizing he's not a high school athlete anymore, essentially. But yeah, so yeah, the spring of '08 softball season, Camden, Riley, Ainsley, Lori rolling up to softball games, and Ainsley was in a wheelchair. A wheelchair that I'd never seen before at the time. And I still believe, it sounds crazy to potentially a lot of listeners. I can't remember until that time at 24 years of age, definitely not meeting, but even like seeing another individual with special needs, like just, I don't have that memory. So Ainsley was my first, if you would, and maybe even Leanne's too, so we saw Ainsley, and I asked a mutual friend of ours, Alex, like, hey, what's up with this, Rooster's daughter? And he told me, he said INAD, and I was like, excuse me? And he said infantile neuroaxon. I'm like, I gotta write this down. I don't know how this works. Everyone had a flip phone. It was before the iPhone. Actually, no, it's, I guess, 2008, so there's probably an iPhone, but right, we're trying to Google or whatever this was, and yeah, that was my first, and there wasn't even like a conversation at the softball field. I mean, so then you go fast forward a handful of months, and a race on the ocean front for you and Ainsley and Mike, and then that led into the Marine Corps ball, if we're going to go chronologically. But yeah, I saw Ainsley in the spring, really met Lori in the fall, but in the summer of '08 is the real story, right? That's your story.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was the first time I saw Ainsley just light up whenever she was experiencing the thrill of running. Like her whole face without saying a word in August of 2008. Like she didn't verbalize a word, but like just her face alone said, "This is fun and I want to do more of it." And as Joe can attest, in 2008, I was far from a runner. I mean, I played softball and did require 3 mile run for the Marine Corps. Like I wasn't a runner by any means, but it was like in that moment where it's like I'm going to become a runner for my daughter because she's having a blast with this. And as we started to do more runs, like I started to invite other people to join us because it was so much fun to just hang out with Ainsley for a couple mile run. Um, really, really neat, really neat. That was the kickoff of that. And of course, I remember it was the Marine Corps birthday in November, though. We had a big celebration which is what Marines do every year for their birthday. And that's when I guess I got a chance to see LV. I don't know if you want to tell people who LV is, but
yeah, I mean, at the I don't know. I think there's, I gotta like choose my wordings, my words wisely, as this is eventually going to be on the internet, right? So, LV is my wife, right? Leanne Vignall, now Leanne Orth, right? But I mean, she's Leanne, by, I wouldn't say by day. By day, she's Miss Orth, a first grade teacher at St. Mark's Catholic School here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then she comes home and she's Leanne. But when she likes to just have fun, it's LV, and that's whether it's out playing or having a few drinks or whatever. Like when she's not Leanne and she's not Miss Orth, she's LV. And
I think I think you did a decent job, man. That was good.
Yeah.
That was safe. So I'm just gonna jump in here and help you out. LV is this amazing person that just has so much confidence, and will engage in a conversation with anybody about anything. And so we were at the Marine Corps birthday ball, and we're celebrating. We're all in our dress blues. The ladies are in their formals. And
what
this
happened
is
for birthday ball though?
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of Miller Lite strength.
There's some Miller Lights and other things. I mean, is it Miller time?
Probably Miller time.
Oh,
what Marines
we just did a tangent. Sorry, y'all. One of the things we're going to do with this podcast sometimes when we're telling fun stories is we're going to go Miller time, which means we're just going to grab our favorite beverage, and we invite you to do so too. It can be anything, whatever you like. Anyway, so we're having Miller time. We're having a good time, and Leanne starts walking up towards the table. Now, I don't know that we had like formally met her at this point. In fact, I hadn't. I mean,
yeah, I don't think so. No, it was just like on the bleacher, like, hi, at softball.
Yeah, at softball. Yeah. So she sees this young girl at softball in a wheelchair and this family. And she, of course, like everything else, she's like, Joe, what's going on with that? And Joe's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. She's like, well, I'm going to find out. So that was her day. And we've talked about this before, like that moment when Leanne like rolled up on Lori. And I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like, hi, I'm Leanne, and I've seen you at softball, and I've seen your daughter and your family, and I wanted to come up and ask, what.
Yeah, the only one that knows what was truly said there would be Lori. If she, I guess I don't want to say remembers, right? But remembers, but for you, Marine, me, Marine, Leanne, that was her first second Marine Corps ball. We were, there's a lot of Miller times.
Yeah. So, but like, you're right. And we don't know what was said, but I know what Lori says about it. And her feeling in that moment was like, somebody actually is taking the time to ask me about my daughter. And she loved it. Absolutely. Lori was like, I'll tell you everything about my daughter. And I think that's the beauty of kind of what that led to in terms of our relationship, not just you and I, but our families over the years. It's like, had Leanne not walked up and asked, sought education, bro.
Yeah, she wanted to get educated so then she could turn advocate and then later celebrate
I see what you did.
Legacy.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
You like it. I want to, some people will understand, others will not be.
Quick tangent time. Educate, advocate, celebrate is Zane's Angels motto. It's actually on cups and banners and all this. Anyway, license plates, but it's flipped. Anyway. So tangent time again. Joe believes it's educate, advocate, celebrate. Well, I've always thought it flowed better if it was advocate, celebrate, educates, because it was like ACE. And Joe's like, that doesn't even make sense. It can't be ACE. But I told the world about ACE in a weekly
word.
What is weekly word, Joe?
Yeah.
What is that?
Weekly word is you once a week for I don't know how many consecutive weeks, and then now when the right word comes to you is you grab your phone, doesn't matter where you are, and you talk for 3 to 5 minutes about that word.
Yeah. We're going to come back to weekly word as we wrap up the podcast in a little bit, because I got this thing I want to do, and I think it's going to be neat. But anyway, so the birthday ball leads on to this just relationship, and for the next 3 years we worked together as captain and sergeant, and talked about softball and flag football and Taco Bell stories and all the things. And then eventually I left the unit. 2011, I left the unit, but we stayed in touch, and we stayed in touch, frankly, because I think we both knew, like, there's something here as it applies to just a potential friendship, but as officer enlisted, like you can't. It's weird. It's this fraternization
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the military and all that. I would think, yeah, because in 11 you left the unit, and in 12 I left active duty, so it'd probably be like January of 12 is when I would think the relationship started to grow, going into
Yeah.
spring, and then God, we were
Yeah.
immersed, if I would, in fantasy football for a handful of years.
But
And
it's
then
funny, but you mentioned fantasy football though, because we got to a point where you were invited into some of the leagues that I was managing, and we do the draft in my
and
garage.
can we just, for the likes of some listeners, won two of the leagues. That's just, I got a trophy somewhere around here.
Oh, you won. Okay, congratulations. You have a trophy. Joe is really good at fantasy football. In fact, he still plays it today. I stopped years ago. But
I don't.
anyway,
My tie this year was like, I'd rather have came in last than have a three-way tie.
ouch.
That's another story, and how FanDuel separates funds, and in the end I
Yeah,
didn't get anything. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
good friends and fellow Marines of ours, Eric Visage and Travis Hickey, were in that same boat. And Travis, actually, yeah, another Marine intel warrant officer, was the big winner. But both awesome human beings, both great Marines, intel officers, both of them now, and have both done some form of running with Ainsley over the years. So
Yeah, awesome.
that's
Very
a
cool.
short tangent.
Yeah, I was like, where? I was waiting for Fitches to walk, through the door behind you and say, "Hi, I'm here." But like, so we were like, gosh, man, we were in the garage, and
Your
you
garage.
say, yeah, you say I bullied you, but like, I didn't bully you. Like, I was just like, hey, bro, the rock and roll half marathon is Labor Day weekend, and like, you should come run with Ainsley and I, or Ainsley and me. And no, is that not how it went? I know I throw a shirt at you at one point. It's like, put this on. Let's go.
Yeah. I
That,
mean, it's close. I honestly too believe, like, I didn't know like what a half marathon was back then, distance wise. I mean, I'm educated enough to understand it wasn't a marathon because the keyword half, but I didn't know how far. I didn't know 13.1 miles or whatever kilometers that is. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. And you didn't bully me. You were persuasive, in your way, to convince me to run that race. And there's other individuals that have been convinced to run various distances in that same garage. That's on video. Chaps, for example.
chaps.
Both Chaps, I think Chaps and Rev were both convinced over some Miller
Yeah.
time on video to run the Marine Corps Marathon, which is another big event in our journey here of life together.
Yeah, no, it's funny how garage and fantasy football and marathons all mix. I mean, Ronnie, my neighbor, who was in doggone all my fantasy leagues, he ran the first Marine Corps marathon that me and Ainsley did. He ran it with us. Like
What year was that?
2011.
11.
Like and how did that happen? Well, I don't know. We played fantasy football. It was just like, come on,
You were
dude.
in the garage, and then
Yeah,
you had a kegerator, and
yeah.
you convinced him to run a marathon. And the young sailor, who's not young, didn't know what to do either. Just same as I was convinced a year later to run the half marathon.
So you all can blame me for this convincing thing, but it comes down to it. Let's give credit where it's due.
You
It's Ainsley.
you
It's
wanted you
Ainsley.
wanted a friend.
It's all Ainsley's fault, man. Ainsley did it, not me. I didn't make you run that far. No. Yeah, but there's some truth to that.
But I
Like
had to run up a hill, and Ainsley doesn't do hills, so I don't understand why I had to run up hills.
tangent time. Is there a story there?
About the hills or the marathon or what? Which?
No, the hills. Like we were doing some training in
So
preparation.
yeah, 2012. You got fantasy football. I ran rock and roll half marathon. That was my first race with Ainsley and Rooster and
There's a
Reagan.
picture.
Yeah, Reagan and Jody, his cousin, and Eric in the back, right?
Yeah.
which was a great time. And yeah, we crossed the finish line, and I was like, well, that was cool. And now to date, 150 races later, pushing, athletes, um, it's been awesome. But yeah, so we went from summer of 2012 at the Rock and Roll Half, and then fast forward whatever that is, 14 months, Marine Corps Marathon, and in 13, I was convinced again. And after I ran the half, I said, I guess, right? And we should, like, every Marine, he was like the salesman for the Marine Corps Marathon in his convincing 1 year of running by that point. But yeah, I mean, I was skeptical of running 26.2 miles, pushing an individual, but I had a Marine buddy, Keith Terberry, Master Gunnery Sergeant, now run with me, and Major Maggie Seymour, and Jenny and Bella. It was a great time, for lack of better words. But the best thing too, or not the best thing, but before we ran Marine Corps in 2013, we actually had Ragnar.
Oh yeah, that's fun. So
yeah, so I forgot. I don't want to say I forgot about that, but for those that don't know, Ragnar is their series has expanded since 2013. But at the time, it was a 200-mile relay race, over 36 legs, and Ainsley was the first rider athlete to do that. So that opened a bigger door for inclusion athletics. And Ragnar is a great partnership that we have still to this day, going on 9 years later. So, I mean, very grateful for the likes of Milo and Chris and Rachel and Kimmy and, Lambert and all the race directors out there that have supported us in our mission. And we're excited to see what Ragnar brings in 22. But yeah, Marine Corps Marathon 2013 was a big turning point. You want to go on another tangent? I can see it. Others may not, but I can see. Look, you're like jumping around. Go for it, dude.
I just really want to go on a tangent. I mean, because like Amber, she's our ambassador in Salt Lake City now, and that's super cool to have like a key member of Ragnar that is now like one of our ambassadors. But it's Milo, bro. You can't just skip over Milo. Like you gotta.
I think if I go
to your text messages, no. Milo was the race.
Milo is a contact of mine, but it's not like a human. It's a automated thing.
No, but like
I saved it in 2013.
Milo was the race director of the first Ragnar that Ainsley did. We had to coordinate with him. Well, here's what happens though. When you're out on the course and you do something wrong, like, I don't know, park on the side of the road when you're not supposed to stop, Milo, meaning headquarters Ragnar, sends you a text. And Joe, like, he got a Wait, well, that wasn't me. Was it you? Who got a violation?
No, our fearless captain.
Lygia?
Yeah, and her ranger husband Jason, they were like, we're gonna take this hill, and then you're not gonna say no to that.
We parked the van, and Sean Heritage, I think Sean Heritage was running in a pink cape or something. Now retired Navy captain, like he was running with his bald head and the pink cape, and he's flying by. Anyway, then we got a text from Milo. And Milo was like, hey, you are getting your first of 3 strikes. If you mess up again, you're going to go home. And we were like, whoa, this can't happen. But anyway, that's Milo. God, dude, we could do a whole episode on Ragnar stories. My God. Anyway, okay. Yeah. So.
And one day we'll have various Ragnarians, runners, and race directors, and charity directors, and I don't know, maybe Chris. I feel like I still owe him a bottle of whiskey, so maybe we don't bring him on.
No,
I don't know how that works, how I get that back to him.
It won't happen. So anyway, back to the thoroughfare, which there's a whole tangent on a thoroughfare. So you might hear Joe and I talk about tangents and thoroughfares. Obviously, a tangent is when you like get off of the main road on a topic, but a thoroughfare is when you come back and you're back on the main road. So the Together We Shall podcast is the thoroughfare. We're telling a story about our chronological history. And you said we're going to need a bigger whiteboard. It's like, what? So like for all of you that aren't aware, like I had a little whiteboard in my office, and I have a picture of it somewhere.
Oh, you showed it?
Yeah, there it is. You can see a little piece of it. And
But
again,
I'm only listening to it, so I can't see it.
yeah, I know. But if you go to
Yeah.
YouTube, you can see the picture. This is the little whiteboard. Anyway, y'all, it's a 2x3 at the most size whiteboard. And Joe and I are in the garage on a Saturday. And I'm like writing, I go and put a little note on the whiteboard. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, well, that's our Ainsley's Angels whiteboard." You're like, bro.
And that's 12, no, 13.
13,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, the organization formed October 7, 2011. So this is 2 years later, probably close to the day because we were probably over there watching football,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So 2 years later, and yeah, you're writing on the board, and you tell it better, but I was like, I can help with this if
Yeah, well,
I don't. What am I doing? I'm not married. I got no kids. I don't have a dog. I didn't have any of those things at that time. Leanne and I, and we lived in Shore Drive, Virginia Beach, and we just partied basically.
yeah. Well, like, okay, so what happened in that moment was Joe, like, is who I thought he was, right? He wanted to help. And he saw the whiteboard. He's like, I can put that into like an Excel spreadsheet. Like, and I'm like, Excel spreadsheet? You know how to do that? Of course you know how to do that, right? Because I used to be your professional boss and I know all of your skills. So I was like, yeah, dude. And so that moment was the first time that Joe like said, I'm in on the admin clerical organizational side. Outside of running, I'm in. And shoot, a year later, he became a board member. Me, you, and my sister, and then we started adding additional board members over the years. And we were off to the races at that point. I mean, good gosh, man, that was that was looking back on that happened. So much has happened since then.
And that was, yeah. I mean, you go say March of 14 when I became a board member, we had 5 or 7 locations, and now we're at 70 plus. And growing, all inclusive communities across the nation.
Yeah, it's just
It's
special. It's really special, man. I mean, I just found this picture. That's the napkin. Again, those of you that can't see, it's a picture of me and Lori and Leanne and Joe. And Leanne likes to do
those
these
of you
things.
that can't see either, yeah, I have it. So I don't know. I'll show it to you. But it's the same picture, but in a frame, and there's a napkin behind it. But
are you able to get the napkin out of the frame?
Yeah.
So while you're getting that out,
well, it's a picture of the napkin. The napkin's like laminated now.
Yeah, cool. Oh wow, isn't that neat? It's like a picture of the napkin. That napkin is basically Leanne's like, hey, let's talk about the future. And so we bust out a napkin. We start talking about goals in life and things we want to accomplish. Is there anything on there that's like super cool to look at? 6 years later.
It's so this would have been
like 2014, 15.
No, actually, based on this, it would have been.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. 14. Natalia's wedding's on there, so I had to like do the math back. But yeah, it talks about Leanne running her 50 miler, going with Team Hoyt to the old pilgrimage to hang out with Dick and Rick in Holland.
Yeah.
The A-Bears, Bitsy and TP made the list. Natalia's wedding, bikini ? I don't know.
Oh, she
probably Leanne, but not Lori. She wanted Outer Banks in your guys' 16-year. That would have been your 16-year wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. There's something on here that says LV Briley, Joe Run.
Oh, I think all of you had like goals to like run certain distances or accomplish objectives.
Yeah. And then Ragnar DC. Oh, and then this was so 2014 because it says AA Northern Virginia, which would have been the Percival, our first ever race series race.
Yeah, wow.
Correct. Which is a whole nother tangent. Our race series, and then naturally how that's grown over the last 8 years, but that race in particular and the friendships that came from that, and amazing partnerships with the likes of Metal Events, and Ann Hupp, who we could I can't wait to get her on here. I don't even want to talk about Anne too much right now because that's a whole nother segment of a specific episode. But she's busy anyway, shoveling snow and building a house and hanging out with Cinder and the new pup and Owen, whose son's Owen as well.
You're
Doodles and running, like the three families are intertwined.
You're like tangenting, like wow, you're going all over. Okay, back to the thoroughfare. Ultimately, I'd be remiss and silly, and I don't know what the right word is. Like February 23rd, like for two Marines, like February 23rd is the day that the Marines raised the flag at Mount Suribachi. That is forever. That's Iwo Jima. That's World War II. And at the Marine Marathon, the final finish line is right in the shadows of today's Marine Corps War Memorial, which is the Iwo Jima Memorial, the statue of the Marines and the sailor. And I don't know, just silly. I don't even know the right word, but Ainsley passed away on February 23rd of 2016. And I think that that's important to bring up in this chronological order here because a sad, sad day, but like at the same time, it didn't bring our friendship any further than where it had been, but like to have someone that you can reach out to and that is there just on as fast as you need them. You and Leanne came over. You provided us your friendship and your comfort and in your own ways, and that's
that was an emotional, right? I don't know. It's probably a better term, but emotional day, because at that time in my life, like my office was, I think that's right around when Briley started at Princess Anne. She was a freshman, right? Yeah. So like I was on like the emergency, like I could go pick Briley up because I worked like 2 miles from her. But you were in Quantico when Ainsley transitioned, and I'll never forget that morning. You're driving back, and you're like, I think that's the term you used, transition. You're like, Ainsley transition, bro, and I was like, I don't understand what that means. And you're like, she's not with us anymore, and I was just like, fuck, what do I do? I don't know, right? And we had a conversation. Work ended. I got home. Leanne got home from school, and then we came over and. I have an awesome picture, if awesome's the right word, of Leanne and Lori embracing at that moment. But yeah, I mean, that was just an interesting day.
Yeah, sure. It was
symbolic, interesting, etc.
Yeah, I mean, obviously an emotional, sad day, all of those things. But I guess the point for me bringing it up is that like it reinforced just exactly the friends that you and Leanne are to us, and how your presence provided comfort during a time, and frankly, our presence provided comfort to you all. Like you all were grieving as well, and then y'all played a critical part, if not the sole part, with Kendra's support and really that celebration of life that took place down there on the ocean front. And there's no way that Lori or I could have given any attention to planning a celebration of life.
Yeah.
So,
trying to find this picture for the, I don't know, three people.
It's okay.
Are
it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember too, like, I mean, there was a lot of symbolism with that celebration of life, the ocean front, her first race, what now is Grommet Park, and everything that's grown to in Virginia Beach. And there were so many inclusive families, right, from Ainsley's Angels and Team Hoyt and et cetera, that came down to that event, and down and up. I mean, the Southwest Louisiana family. I mean, I shared a fairly special moment that I won't ever forget with Terry at that event. But yeah, I mean, that was I mean, there's just so many awesome people. I mean, Peggy, right? I mean, Peggy's one of the founding members of why we're here today, right? So
Yeah.
future guest
Yeah.
for the podcast.
Yeah, definitely a future guest. We're gonna have a blast with that. One of the things that this podcast is aimed at doing is kind of taking us all over the map. I mean, we can go from laughing and joking about Taco Bell to, I mean, serious conversation in a second. And the intent here is really to provide a safe place to have fun conversation, lighthearted yet led at the same time energetic and meaningful and
Deep dives.
deep dive. I mean, I call it let's dance. I mean, that's what we're doing now, just kind of dancing through the journey. And it's a great segue really to the fact that soon thereafter you married your best friend. You and Leanne got married later that year, 2016, if memory serves right.
Yeah.
Lori and I had the honor of being in your wedding party and watching that. It's just a great day, just really, really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a special day, for sure. I mean, we tied so many elements of the friendship between the two families together. I mean, Angel's trailer was there, bridesmaids, groomsmen, you know, we had a memorial table for family, and there was a picture of Ainsley, and then that definitely that was a very bonding, if you would, year of the friendship between the two families. It was like almost like the mortar between concrete, right? It sealed the deal, and allowed. I think that might be around the time where, for lack of better terms, we really decided to throttle down on the organization too, right? In her honor. And then, a couple years later, I did move away from Virginia Beach, but that, luckily that hasn't slowed us down at all within the organization, as president and vice president and friends, we still see each other quarterly, whatever it may be, but this podcast is an opportunity to see each other more and keep telling everyone what the organization that we're very proud of is up to, and then personally what we're up to. That's where we are now.
Yeah, man. We got this little thing that we're going to do as we move out of Let's Dance, which is kind of like the flow of this whole conversation, is to bring some lightheartedness to it. I think there's going to be some future Let's Dance segments that are really, really deep and emotional, and we just kind of scratched the surface just now. But like, Joe does this thing, y'all, and it's pretty impressive. He's got this ability to tell you the name of a movie just from like a quote. So as we transition, as we look at you, okay.
Yeah, look at me. Look, for the listeners only, and then those that are viewing. For the most part, if I've seen a movie, it's the ADD in me, right? If I've seen a movie and I enjoyed it, I can very distinctively remember a lot of quotes from it. So Rooster likes to stump me, so I have a feeling he's gonna try.
I don't know. Anyway, I just want. So I'm just gonna call off I'm just gonna call the movie quote, dude. And if you get it, that's great. If you don't get it, then it would surprise me, because I just feel like you know a lot of movies. So I'm gonna go with today. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
God, all right. I'm sorry. You know how many movies that's been in? Today I consider myself. I mean, potentially Jerry Maguire.
Okay.
Today
I'll give you another one.
From the same movie?
No. That movie is. I only picked it because you're a Boston Red Sox fan, and this is not a Boston Red Sox. It's The Pride of the Yankees. It's a movie from back in the 40s. That's not fair, though, is it?
Yeah, that's no. Yeah, I mean, if you could have said something about like, I got to see about a girl, because it is Red Sox related, it's Boston related, but it's Good Will Hunting when Robin Williams slid his tickets to the 1986 World Series to his friend and didn't go in. That would have made sense. But yeah, Yastrzemski hits the homer.
See, like this is it.
Obviously,
This
the
is what.
Sox did not win because they
Yeah.
didn't win again
Wow.
until
Okay.
'04 from 19. But that's
Okay.
neither.
I lost complete control of the movie. Anyway, we'll try to work some more of those in, because well, I mean,
It's got to be in my lifetime, like
okay,
84 on, like
okay,
1940. I don't know if Bill would even get that. Bill
uh,
wasn't even born yet.
okay. Well,
Bill was born in '44.
nobody puts baby in a corner.
Yes. Okay. Dirty Dancing.
Okay. All
Got
right.
it.
See, like you got
Rest
that.
in peace, Patrick. Got it.
All right. We'll get another one in there. All right. So a little bit of lightheartedness, get the Miller time. What you wearing, Joe? What is that shirt you have on? Is that a Counting Crows shirt?
All right.
Oh,
So for those that can see, I have a good friend, Adam, and he gave me this shirt, Counting Crows concert. Adam being Adam Duritz, the lead singer of Counting Crows, who was born on the shores of the Chesapeake, much like I was. There's a lot of songs about that. But he actually didn't give me this shirt, but I've seen the Counting Crows a couple times in concert with Rooster, and Adam gave him that beanie too.
For those of you that can see me, I'm wearing my Adam Duritz beanie. He gave it to me. So I went to a Crows concert and I got home and I was wearing the beanie. And Briley's like, "How was the concert?" And I'm like, "It was great. Adam gave me a beanie." She's like, "He gave you a beanie?" I'm like, "Yes, Adam gave me a beanie." So now that's the tangent we were on there. It's just Adam gave Joe that shirt. But we all know that both of us paid $40 to $80 for a t-shirt and a beanie. And maybe one day we'll meet Adam and we can tell him all these stories that he could give two hoots about.
Really, if he just watches any like Ragnar compilation video that's been on, there's Counting Crows songs on there, and there's a bit from Ragnar, what was it called, South Beach at the time, where I said like Adam gave me this hat that I bought in the Dollar General on A1A Beachfront Avenue.
Yes, a little Vanilla
Yeah,
Ice
but I'm wearing a
reference.
Counting Crows shirt because it's pretty cool, and
It's awesome.
Briley likes this one as well.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get this at the concert. If you remember, I actually had to like go into the merchandise area, probably where I wasn't
Yes.
allowed to be, but
You were totally not allowed to be there.
made
Totally.
a friend and bought a T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, speaking of merchandise, I'm wearing a white Ainsley's Angels thermal hoodie. The reason I'm wearing it today is because it's comfortable. We still have some in stock, but more particular, we're about to have white hoodies. Like Joe might not buy one because he spills anything on his shirt if his color of his shirt is anything other than, what he's got on now. It's just blue or black or gray. So I just did that. You didn't catch it. Blue or black or gray. That's it. Blue, black, and gray. That's actually a lyric from
Gray is my favorite color. I got it.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we're gonna have some new stuff on the Finish Line store, and it's gonna be white hoodies, and I'm excited about it. So anyway, as we wrap this thing up, hey, what's next, man? What are we doing from here?
I mean, from here, there's a lot going on. Personally, right, work and all that stuff, growing small children, but within the organization, I mean, yeah, we're diving in. The race series starts in a month to the day tomorrow. Our first race series race of 2022, Run with Your Heart. Back in Marine Corps Marathon, official charity partners. If you're listening to this and want to run or roll in the Marine Corps Marathon, email Joe at ainsleyingles.org. Our new endurance store is going to go live here very soon. By the time you're listening to this, hopefully it already is live. We have two awesome new designs that were formerly our tri store, but our new endurance gear store. Some new items. It's going to be it's going to be super, and we can talk about that another day. But
No,
there's a
super.
lot going on within the organization as we dive into the as we head out of winter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So hopefully we'll see some of you on March 5th in Jacksonville, North Carolina for the Run with Your Heart. And if you want to join us in any of our races, come on out. Let's roll. That's what's next. And I would say a good way to wrap this up is like, do you have any saved rounds? Like, did we forget anything? How do you put a cherry on top of this thing?
I don't know, man, but we're at 59 minutes, and we want to, as you always say, yield people back their time. So I would say the cherry on top is tune in for episode 2, and we're gonna have a guest on episode 2, and I think it's only right that you tell our listeners who that guest is.
Yeah, so keep letting these things play right into episode 2, and we'd love to introduce you to Briley Rossiter, my firstborn child, and current ambassador for Ainsley's Angels in Madison, author of Born an Angel, so forth and so on. Bro, I don't know what you think, but I think we're pretty much at that point.
Yeah.
So
Cut it, man. We're done here.
You know what? I got enough.
He's in charge.
We're done. This was good.
The structure of this building has reached its capacity. Yeah, we're done here.